Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets Show. My name is Ethan Kershaw, DFS soccer analyst, and guess what? Today, we're going to be looking at a 2-game slate on DraftKings, talking about some MLS soccer. So, the games we're going to be looking at are going to be Sporting Kansas City versus FC Dallas and Real Salt Lake versus the Houston Dynamo. I got my Real Salt Lake hoodie on, ready to go, ready to talk about these games. Before we do, make sure to drop a like on this video and also subscribe to Mayo Media Network, where you can get all of your daily fantasy content. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, The Mix, and then leave a 5-star review. It'll really help out the channel. Also, you can head on over to Twitter, follow me at Ethan Kershaw 9, where I can help you out with all of your soccer needs and any of your soccer questions. That being said, let's go ahead and jump on into the video and take a look at some of the awesome picks that we have for this weekend. We're going to start off with some forwards. Now, before we jump into this slate, I would like to throw in a bit of advice. I'm looking at this slate. There's not a ton of higher priced players in this one, so I'm really looking for some values that I can play at positions like midfield this week, which is normally a position I really like to stack up and pay up for. But I'm looking at a couple of values and then kind of paying up at the forward position. I think that's going to be the best bet for you going forward this weekend. Looking at the first forward that we want to talk about is going to be Johnny Russell at 9.9K for Sporting Kansas City. I love Johnny Russell. I understand he's probably the highest priced player on this slate. But he does have double-digit fantasy points in the last 7 games, with 22 shots and a total of 39 crosses over that span. It's extremely impressive from a player like Russell. He likes to play at the right wing position for Kansas City, loves to get forward in the attack, probably their most dynamic and skilled player in the attack. And I really just like Russell. He's in the right place at the right time, it feels like. Been scoring goals almost every other game lately, it feels like. And so I really love getting him into your lineup. And on the other side of the field for Sporting Kansas City as well is going to be Daniel Saloy at, Salaway. I'm not very good at pronouncing names, but Salaway, 9.2K. I really like Salaway just because of his crossing ability. Lately, he's had 17 or more fantasy points in 4 of the last 5 games. That is a fantastic output. If you look at how he and Russell work together, they work by crossing the ball in. Sporting Kansas City is extremely effective with their wing players getting forward in the attack, getting goals and assists. Speaking of goals and assists, Salaway, 5 goals, 1 assist, and 15 shots over those last 5 games. And then also, their opponent they're playing this week, Sporting Kansas City, are going against FC Dallas. And Dallas has allowed 1 or more goals in the last 13 of 14 games. The fact that Dallas are giving up a ton of goals, I really see Johnny Russell and Salaway getting a goal or an assist each in this game. I think they're going to be really important players to have in your lineup this week. And so I'm looking to form the rest of my lineups around these 2 guys. That being said, those are kind of the best forward positions we'll be looking at. I'm going to jump over into some midfield spots now that you can look to fill up your roster. Maybe add a little more value to your team. Let's go ahead and start off with one of my favorite players in the MLS. It's Albert Rusnak for Real Salt Lake. I promise you this is not biased because Real Salt Lake is my team, but Albert Rusnak has been on a tear recently. He really quieted it down for quite some time near the beginning of the season, not putting out great fantasy numbers, but as of late, he's really come to life. 2 goals, 2 assists over the last 4 games, and a total of a whopping 38 crosses in the last 7 games. He's also going to be on set pieces and on corners for the team, and if there's a penalty, he'll be the guy to take it. Just because of his involvement with the attack for Real Salt Lake, I really love playing him at the midfield spot. 7.8K really isn't even that expensive as well. He likes to play at a left midfield or a center attacking mid position. Either way, he likes to get forward in the attack, really involved all the time, so I really like him wherever he plays. And with him moving up the field, great play at 7.8K. Looking at another player that I really like this week, we're going to go back to the Sporting Kansas City game. We got Gadi Kinda at 7.3K. Kinda has played a fantastic role as of late with Buzio. Gianluca Buzio has gone over and played for the U.S. national team for the Gold Cup. He will be unavailable for this game. I think Kinda really picks up the slack in this one. And Kinda, 6 to 24 fantasy points over the last 7 games. Been very consistent with getting a reasonable floor and a pretty high ceiling as well. A lot of variability. But in that span, he has had 2 goals and 2 assists with 14 shots and 15 crosses. Really moves around the field, does a lot of different things for the team. I really like Kinda in this game. Like I mentioned with Nobuzio, he should be on some set pieces, some corners as well, chip in with some efforts on the offensive end. So I really like Kinda at a relatively cheap price at 7.3K. After Gadi Kinda, another midfielder that's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower down on the price list I really like is going to be Memo Rodriguez at 6.6K. Now, Memo Rodriguez, he's not going to blow the top off and score a ton of points for you fantasy-wise, but he's also not going to really disappoint you. He's always kind of right there in the middle. He's had 7 to 12 fantasy points over the last 5 games with 7 shots and 15 crosses over that span. The one tough thing about Memo Rodriguez is a lot of times he ends up getting substituted off out of the game a little bit early, or sometimes he doesn't score, doesn't assist, hasn't had any goals or assists this year, and it's been very disappointing from him. But keep an eye on starting lineups. If it comes out that he's playing at a left wing or a left mid position for Houston Dynamo, I really like giving him a shot in this game. I think he's going to have some crosses if he plays out on that area. Now, if he's playing at a more of a central midfield position, I'm not going to be so in love with him this week. 6.6K, not a ton of money, but I wouldn't want to pay that much for him if he's playing at a center mid position. So keep an eye on that as starting lineups come out. Now, looking at his teammate, Joe Corona, kind of the same story here. Joe Corona, though, is a lot cheaper than Memo Rodriguez, 4.3K, and Corona lately has also been playing at a left midfield position or sometimes a central mid position. Now, this is a little bit different. Joe Corona, I really like him wherever he plays. Now, obviously, I'd love for him to play at the left midfield position. It means that he's probably going to get more crosses into the box, have more opportunities on the attack to score or get an assist. Obviously, it's a lot better, but Corona really does it all. He's had 1 or more shots, crosses, and tackles won in the last 3 of 4 games. So really a stat sheet stuffer here. Like I said, wherever he plays, I'm totally fine with playing him, especially at a cheap price of 4.3K. I think he's a fantastic guy to just jam into your lineup and just move on. And moving on, let's go ahead and do that. Drop down to the defenders. My favorite defender on this slate, by far and away, is going to be Aaron Herrera. Aaron Herrera at 5.6K for Real Salt Lake. He's had double-digit fantasy scoring in 3 of the last 4 games. Also, a goal and an assist in that span. Something you always love about your defenders is if they're getting forward in the attack, and Aaron Herrera exemplifies this. Aaron Herrera has been extremely dangerous moving forward for Real Salt Lake. He sometimes plays at left back position, but more naturally at a right back position, and he has been doing that lately, getting forward in the attack, having a lot of opportunities as well in the attack. He's averaging over a total of 3 crosses per game this year. And so I think that in this game against Houston Dynamo, he's going to have a lot of chances to get forward in the attack, a lot of chances to cross it in, maybe picks up an assist, adds some more value to your team. But overall, he's really just my favorite defender. Looking at some of the other guys, they don't tend to have as massive as an output that Herrera tends to have on a game-to-game basis. Put Herrera into your lineup and then move on down. Looking at a cheaper defender option, I was looking at a couple of guys, but I really think, yes, I'm going back to Real Salt Lake, and I know they're my favorite team, but for good reason. Marcelo Silva, 2.7K. There's not a ton of value in this guy, but I mean, he's really cheap. He's just someone you can punt, throw into your lineup. You know he's going to be playing. He's played 90 minutes over really the last couple of games he's played. Hasn't been subbed out. Been very effective, and he's had more than 2 points in 5 of the last 6 games. Just throws a nice little floor in there for you when you're really trying to punt the position. And also, Marcelo Silva, 5 tackles won and 10 passes intercepted in those last 6 games. Just because of his consistency and really getting you a decent floor for a punt option, 2.7K, go ahead and put him into your lineup. Now, looking at, last but not least, the goalkeeper position. I was really conflicted on this one, moving back and forth between Tim Melia and David Ochoa. Ultimately, I decided to go with David Ochoa in this one here. Ochoa's just 1.2k cheaper. Honestly has a lot more upside in this game as well. Sporting Kansas City tends to give up a goal in a couple of games, and so I'm worried about that happening in this one here, and Melia losing the ability to get a shutout in this game. Ochoa, on the other hand, I'm not sure if he gets the shutout. Real Salt Lake and Houston Dynamo have been tying a lot of games lately. There have been goals on both sides. So I think that even though Ochoa may not get the clean sheet in this one, in this game also may kind of end up in a tie, he's been very effective, averaging 7 fantasy points per game this season. Also, he's had 15 saves over the last 4 games, really picked it up. There was a point in the season where he really dipped. I think he's gotten back into a groove. And in ties this year, he also averages that 7 points. But there were also 2 ties this year that Real Salt Lake had, where he had 11 and 12 fantasy points. So, that being said, I think he gives you a fantastic ceiling, a little bit of a floor as well. He's only had 1 game this year where he's gone negative. So I think Ochoa is a fantastic start at 4.5k this weekend. All right, looking at the bets now, which we've got for this weekend, I really like a couple of bets. Let's go ahead and talk about the Dallas and Sporting Kansas City game. So Dallas, in 4 of their last 6 games, have scored, and Sporting Kansas City have won 4 of their last 5, but in those games have also allowed 1 or more goals in 8 of their last 9. So the fact that Sporting Kansas City really has the ability to win games but give up a goal in a lot of games, I think that this game can really end in a Sporting Kansas City win, but I think that both teams are able to get a goal. So, both to score and no draw at plus 130 is the bet we're going to be looking at for this game. I think Kansas City gets the job done, but I think they let in a goal. I think they also win though, so plus 130, it's pretty good value there. But even better value is something I was able to actually find for the Houston and the Real Salt Lake game. Houston have drawn in 6 of their last 7 games, and Real have drawn in 5 of their last 11. I've watched a couple of Real games this season. They're a team that really likes to get ties, unfortunately. But if you go to the game parlay section in DraftKings Sportsbook, you can find a bet for a tie with goals. So basically, there's going to be a tie in this game, but both teams are going to score plus 340. That's my favorite bet for this weekend. I think that both teams are going to score, but it's probably going to end in a tie. Houston have been tying a lot of games lately. Real Salt Lake loves to do it as well. Plus 340. Go ahead and throw your money onto that one. Quick reminder here at the end of the video to smash the like button and then head on over to Mayo Media Network and subscribe to the network. And also, don't forget to follow me at Ethan Kershaw 9 on Twitter. Also, make sure to leave a 5-star review on the podcast, Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets the Mix. And make sure to cash those lineups this weekend. I will be cheering for you all. Please let me know how you did on Twitter. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Let's win some money, and I'll talk to you all later. See ya.